Welcome to Encore on France 24. It is cinema time, so coming up today, award-winning turns as Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto take on the AIDS epidemic in Dallas Buyers Club. We'll also be finding out how Chris Pine is getting on as the new face of Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, with Kenneth Branagh directing and taking on the obligatory baddie role. And something much lighter, literally, meet the cute bugs of the new French animation flick, Minuscule. Joining us for all of that is our film critic, Lisa Nesselson, so let's get the show started. Hi there, Lisa.
Hello, hello.
Very nice to see you once again, as always. Very nice to see you, our viewers, as well. Now, we're going to get started with an Oscar contender that's come out of nowhere into the awards race, for us here in Europe at least, as it's only just being released right now. Dallas Buyers Club features critically acclaimed performances from Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto. They play two AIDS patients in mid-80s Texas, fighting for the drugs that could keep them alive.
Nice restaurant, beautiful woman. It's where I feel like a human again.
Mr. Woodruff, what is going on?
People are dying.
You're nothing more than a common drug dealer.
TJ, this is Rayon. Freaking homo. I got one life. Wanted to mean something.
Just let me be.
Okay, based on a true life story. Lisa, what were your impressions of this movie?
I think it's very much worth seeing. You know, 27 years ago, we forget, nobody really knew what HIV was, what AIDS was, let alone how to treat it. AZT trials were just starting. Ron Woodruff was a redneck, womanizing, homophobic, racist, good old boy who is diagnosed with full-blown AIDS, given 30 days to live, and in a time before the internet, educates himself using the library and the telephone and his common sense to track down alternative methods of treating the disease, because the U.S. government is withholding a lot of the stuff that might help patients.
That's right, and the Dallas Buyers Club of the title is something that he sets up to give access to those drugs to other AIDS patients,
He finds a loophole. They're not illegal, but they haven't been approved.
Yeah, fighting the disease and fighting the system at the same time. Now, one very important part of this role for Matthew McConaughey was the weight loss that he had to undergo. We can hear now from the director, Jean-Marc Vallée. He spoke to France 24's Roméo Langlois and said that losing all of the weight was a stipulation of this role, but that Matthew McConaughey went even further than he'd actually asked.
J'étais content, j'étais satisfait après.
I was happy after he lost 15 kilos,
De perte, mais là, il est allé jusqu'à 25. Et là,
but then he lost 20, and he really pushed himself.
Et lui en avait besoin.
He needed to do that. I don't think the character or the role demanded that much, but for him it was essential to lose that weight,
D'aller jusque-là. Et en même temps,
and he created quite a unique character.
créé un personnage assez unique.
The Québécois director Jean-Marc Vallée speaking there to France 24. Now, Lisa, Matthew McConaughey used to be a very, very unserious romantic comedy actor. In the last couple of years, he seems to have entered a phase of seriously good, serious acting. He has already won the Golden Globe for Best Drama Actor for this role. Is he Oscar-worthy for you?
I think this year, everyone who's nominated is, potentially Oscar-worthy. Is it an extraordinary performance? Yes. And it's funny because for a while, Brad Pitt was supposed to play this role. I think he would have done a good job, but McConaughey is absolutely extraordinary. He's a good actor. He's got a lot of range. He can do goofy, he can do serious, he can do dramatic, he can do silly. And if you want to see one of his most interesting roles recently, William Friedkin's Killer Joe, in which he pleasures himself with a piece of fried chicken, and it's absolutely one of the most terrifying things you've ever seen.
Quite a brave thing for an actor to do as well, not
Yes.
doing that in a comedy situation.
No, it's deadly serious, scary stuff. And he's on a brand new TV show, and I think, he'll be getting more good roles from here on in.
And we ought to mention Jared Leto as well, who also won a Golden Globe and is also up for an Oscar in the supporting actor category. We can move on now, though, to the more frivolous and fictional world of Jack Ryan now. The hero of Tom Clancy's best-selling spy novels is back on the big screen in a rebooted version, as we say nowadays. It's subheaded as Shadow Recruit. In the past, Alec Baldwin, Harrison Ford and Ben Affleck have all stepped into his CIA agent boots. Now it's the turn of young pretender Chris Pine, directed by Kenneth Branagh.
Partnerships are delicate, Mr. Ryan. Sometimes they end violently.
What the hell is going on here?
Sometimes the ones closest to us are the ones we should trust the least. We all have our secrets.
You think this is game, Jack?
They will bring us to our knees without even firing a shot.
There's a very real scenario here where we don't get out of this alive.
We are compromised.
If you find the truth, will you believe it?
Oh my God, indeed. Very thrilling stuff, isn't it, Lisa? We've got spies, Keira Knightley, 9/11, Russian baddies. Does this add up to a good old-fashioned romp for you?
Absolutely. This is the most dumb fun I think I've had at this kind of movie since Tom Cruise was dangling off the tallest building in the world in Mission Impossible 4. I've always had a soft spot for movies that pit the Ruskies and the Yanks against each other, and now that the Cold War is over, there's less reasons to do that. But they've come up with something that's sort of credible, and of course, Branagh is wonderful as the Russian oligarch who is dead set on revenge. And I have to say, I think they may have cast Keira Knightley and Chris Pine because they both have eyebrows that look sort of like pregnant caterpillars.
Oh, that's a very interesting insight there, Lisa. We'll have to watch a bit more closely when we see the next clip of the film. For now, though, we can hear from Chris Pine and Kenneth Branagh talking about why they wanted to make this particular film.
I mean, I love the series. I love spy fiction. I love those Tom Clancy novels.
People have loved these 13, 14 books and this character across 4 movies because there's something in him we recognize. Jack Ryan is an everyman. He has a brilliant mind, but in many other ways he's like us.
Just like us and every man, Lisa. I'm not sure I'm just like Jack Ryan personally. Can we talk a bit about Kenneth Branagh himself, though? Used to be this very serious Shakespearean actor and then later director. More recently, though, he's directed the superhero movie Thor. Now he's doing this. What do you make of Kenneth Branagh, the director?
He's a born storyteller. I think he's interested in the best way to tell any kind of story. And this is sort of a variation on Once More Into the Breach. You know, we're rebooting a character. And he's put together elements that are fundamentally ludicrous, but found a way to make them convincing enough that we suspend our disbelief for the amount of time we're watching the film, and that's really all you can ask from a story. Very, very talented man.
Excellent. Okay, well, our next film takes us from Jack to Jackie. And this is a French film. It's called Jackie in the Kingdom of Women in its English translation. Now, it's taking aim at accepted views of gender roles in a pointedly satirical way. The director is a Frenchman with Syrian family background. He's called Riyad Sattouf. Now, he's actually a weekly contributor to France's provocative cartoon magazine Charlie Hebdo as well. Lisa, Riyad Sattouf says that this film is a reverse Cinderella story. We're just putting the pictures on screen now. I sense definite religious overtones. One review describes it as a cross between North Korea and Taliban Afghanistan. Can you unravel all of these different threads for us?
Well, it's a comical take on sending up gender roles, because if you just reverse everything, it becomes obvious just how silly the patriarchy is, because here we have a matriarchy, and all of the men folk aspire to marry the colonel, played by Charlotte Gainsbourg, who is really terrific as this sort of imperious ruler who's going to inherit the throne. And all of the men are obliged to wear veils and kowtow to the women, and it's a very repressive society, which is supposed to be, of course, the happiest place on earth. So there's overtones of all sorts of dictatorial regimes.
And just very briefly, I mean, they do look to be wearing essentially burqas. Is this director taking direct aim at Islam, which would be a very provocative thing to do?
I think he's taken some iconography from portions of the Middle East that we in the West might think are a little backward in their regard for women, but it's not a full-on obnoxious assault, and certainly religion isn't mentioned.
Okay, very interesting one. Our next film is surely much less controversial, I should think. Minuscule. It's the latest French feature animation, out just in time for the school winter holidays here. Now, it offers an epic battle of good and evil, but played out among garden ants with a peacemaking ladybird, or ladybug to you, Lisa. So far, so standard, except, Lisa, this family film has been compared to Star Wars, Deliverance, Indiana Jones, and Lord of the Rings. Seriously?
I think that's fair. This is a real exploit. When the artist came out, everyone said, how could you make a feature film with no spoken dialogue? Well, this is a feature animated film with no spoken dialogue. It's just funny little sound effects, and all of the creatures are against a real-life background in a valley and in a forest. And so I'm not sure how they've melded the animation with the backdrops, but the effect is wonderful. And we have a little, we have a Mr. and Mrs. Ladybug who are the proud parents of 3 little ladybugs. One of them goes astray, runs into some ants who have just discovered the joys of sugar cubes and are determined to carry these sugar cubes back to their anthill. And then there's evil red ants, we can tell because one of them has a scar. And I think those battle sequences are every bit as dramatic as anything you'll see in Lord of the Rings.
And we're seeing those pictures there. The special effects and animation wizardry generally seem to be getting better all the time. Does Minuscule really hold its own among the competition?
Absolutely. This is 100% French. I see no reason why it can't go all over the world. It's adorable, it's funny, it's touching. There's even bugs are knocked out or sleeping, and they have dream sequences.
Wow. Okay, I really can't wait to see that one. It does sound like a cute one for the holidays. Thanks very much, Lisa. We're going to end the show by shrinking you down to the size of an ant so that you too can experience the world of Minuscule. Thanks very much, Lisa, for coming in to tell us all about that and all of this week's films. Thanks very much to you for watching. Let us know about all of your movie-going highs and lows via our social networks, and you can also follow me on Twitter @ACatInParis. Until next week then, happy movie-going.